Ciao, I'm Mario, a Swiss car guy on YouTube, and welcome to this Sunday's installment of Schrödinger's Lexus LS600h. This is my 2008 Lexus LS600h that may or may not have a faulty hybrid battery. Because you see, this car developed a hybrid battery error, I think it's P0A80, and some people suggested, well, if you have a bad 12-volt battery, it can cause this error and a whole world of other errors. So I replaced the 12-volt battery in the last video, and then the car was actually all right for about 10 days, and then the error came back. So is the battery bad, or is it still okay and it's caused by something else? I've watched a couple of YouTube videos by Hybrid Solution Diagnostics on how to diagnose a faulty battery, and originally, I mean, he shows how to do it with, you know, Android apps like Torque Pro and Dr. Hybrid apps I have, and I wanted to use those to do the same diagnostics, but I couldn't find my cheap little Bluetooth adapter. I searched everywhere, I don't know where it is, and I don't have time to buy another. Then by searching, I found another one. I found this thing, which is actually a cheap Wi-Fi OBD adapter that should theoretically work as well, and it didn't. First off, it cannot read out the battery, so it's not really useful for my task. This is a very basic adapter. I think it was like $2, so it's basically something for the trash. And even worse, while connected to the car, it started creating errors. So the car would give me like PCS errors and low oil level errors, like complete rubbish. So this thing is manufactured waste. My little N-cell adapter, I don't know where it is, and actually I do not need it, because if you watch my previous videos, you know that I have a somewhat legal version of Techstream, which is the Toyota dealer software that I can use to diagnose the car. Techstream, of course, is very powerful. You can do a lot of stuff with it, but the advantage of the Android apps, especially Torque Pro, which costs like $5 or something like that, is that it actually shows you freeze frame data. So if you log your real-time data over a longer period, like over a longer drive, an hour, it will basically freeze the highest and the lowest value of a battery module. So you can see, oh, which battery modules are really low and which are really high. Whereas on the Techstream, you basically have to watch it all the time and then maybe screen record it if you want to see how the modules stack up over time. And yeah, I did the Techstream solution without actually filming it. So basically I just had the Techstream connected to the car while driving, and I, you know, used to look at it from time to time to see a difference in battery voltages. Because how do you diagnose a bad battery on basically any hybrid vehicle, especially Toyota hybrids? It's not that hard, because you see, the hybrid battery is composed of multiple battery modules, and each module is, I think, composed of 2 cells. So this car is a 288 volt hybrid system, which means it's nickel metal hydride, one nickel metal hydride cell, NEEM. One nickel metal hydride cell has a nominal volume of 7.2 volt. So you divide 288 volts through 7.2 and you get to 40 cells. So the battery has 40 individual cells, but you cannot read them out individually. So the computer will actually only read out each module, and a module is 2 cells combined, so 14.4 volts. So what I've been looking for is a difference in voltage, because you ideally want each module to be exactly the same voltage, which means that every battery cell is the same, has the same amount of wear, works perfectly. In battery terms, it's called, they are all balanced. So the battery cells are balanced. Each cell has the same voltage as the other one. These old Toyota hybrids do not balance the cells. So over time, with driving, of course, cells get discharged. Some cells will discharge a bit more, will discharge a bit less. maybe this is not fairly accurate. Some cells will be warmer. They will get hotter, they will get like more fatigued through that. The internal resistance will rise. They will discharge a little bit differently from the other cells, which means that over time the cells get imbalanced, which means some cells they can charge higher and some cells cannot do that anymore and they discharge maybe lower. And usually a battery pack, a hybrid battery, is as good as the worst cell, because once the worst cell reaches the lowest point, the battery stops giving out energy, or when it reaches the highest point, it stops accepting more current. So one bad cell can basically brick your entire battery. So does this car have bad cells? Yes, it does, because you see, usually you want to have as little as a difference in voltage between the different modules, and from what I measured during driving, I try to drive, accelerate hard, accelerate soft, not accelerate, decelerate hard and everything. And what I could see that in my driving a trip, there was a trip of about 1 hour, I got a difference between the best and the worst module of almost 1 volt. This is like an extreme value, but on average it was like half a volt, 0.6 of a volt, and it's too much. It's way too much. And what's also kind of telling is that it's the cells in the middle of the battery pack that are the worst. Because if you imagine like the battery pack like a big loaf of bread, the slices in the middle, the battery cells in the middle are those who like get more heat because there's less room to dissipate heat, and so therefore they heat up more and they tend to go bad sooner than the others. And this is also corroborated by the battery temperatures, because these cars have, I believe, 3 temperature sensors in the hybrid battery, 1 at each extreme and 1 in the middle. Maybe it's even 2 in the middle, I'm not sure. However, the temperature in the middle on this car are like 5 degrees C higher than at the exterior part of the battery, which means, of course, if the battery outside are 30 degrees and the battery in the middle are 35 degrees, the battery in the middle will age more and more quickly. So what does this all mean? It means that my hybrid battery is bad. This is now confirmed. There's no more guessing around. The data shows it, and I could have looked it up ages ago, but I just wanted to try the Hail Mary with the new 12-volt battery. But now the question is, what do I do? Because I could try to fix the battery. Because I say, well, the center cells are worse than the ones at the outside. So I could try to buy individual modules, then try to balance them all and then reassemble the battery and put them back in the car. But the thing is, if I get a module now, or a couple of modules, I would have to buy a couple, who tells me that they're in good shape? Because ideally I would want the new module to be about exactly as worn and as good as my good exterior modules. So if I get modules that are too good, too new, I think that might also be sort of bad, because then they sort of don't use their full capacity and maybe that's bad for them, I don't know. But in any case, I don't want bad modules because I already have bad modules in the car. So if I buy just single modules to replace, I have to make sure that they are somehow decent enough. The procedure would then be to disassemble the battery, take all the modules out, and then basically charge them, balance them all together, get them to the same voltages. Ideally even load test them if that was a possibility, but you know, it sounds like a lot of work. The alternative would be to buy a new battery, an entire new battery, which then again is kind of expensive, because I've seen like the cheapest Chinesium aftermarket, whatever battery I can get, will probably set me back like 3,000 Swiss francs or even more. And it's a lot of money to spend on like a bit of a gamble battery. And I know people say China produces great stuff and has great battery tech. Yeah, but China also has a lot of battery fires. And especially if you're buying like a budget battery, and not like a premium, high-end, expensive battery, I don't know if that's a good investment. And investment, I mean, do I want to spend money on this 18 years old car? The thing is, I like driving it. Just in the weeks since I replaced the 12 volts battery driving the car, I really thought, man, this is such a nice car. And it's kind of sad if you have to get rid of it because of the hybrid battery. When I bought this car, I knew the day would come that the hybrid battery fails, and then I would have to basically decide what to do. 8 years ago when I bought the car, I speculated that by the time the battery fails in this car, there are like good aftermarket solutions that are very ubiquitous, and there are, I think, ubiquitous solutions for the Prius and the car that uses Prius cells. But this car, as I mentioned in the last video, uses different sized cells and modules that are not compatible with the Prius. So I cannot rebuild the battery using the cheap and ubiquitous Prius modules. So I would have to get either dedicated modules for this car, which means probably used somewhere, hoping that they're good, or I would have to go like with a new battery. So either aftermarket or OEM. OEM I think not, because that's like really expensive here in Switzerland. Aftermarket may more likely be the case. And this is kind of a difficult decision because I like the car. It's a car I've wanted for a long time. I've owned it for a relatively long time. And I don't really want to get rid of it. But I also don't want to pour money into it and a bunch of work because it's going to be so labor intensive to put the car right. It's difficult. And also buying a new car, another car, I wouldn't buy a new car because money, but the car market is so difficult and newer cars are so bad and unreliable. So I'm really tempted to fix this car and keep fixing it up, because I think if I change the battery in this car and did a few other jobs, I can do another 150, 200,000 kilometers with this car. I think if I spec a new OEM battery, of course, I think this car could do 500,000 kilometers. But then again, there's the other thing, like, I'm 42. Should I really at 42 already have my forever car? Because, having different cars is kind of interesting. And yes, I have different cars. I have my Trans Am, which is right here off camera. I have my Cayman, I have my Cadillac. But still, these are not really daily drivers. And I don't know, maybe I should experience another car. I'm actually even contemplating adding a fifth car to the fleet, but that brings so many problems with where do I park the car, and then I have to get a new number plate because I can have two cars on the same number plate, but 5 is not divisible by 2, so I had to get a third number plate, and the moment I get a third number plate, I can again have 2 cars on the same number plate. So why have 5 cars and not 6? And you see, it's going to spiral out of control. And the thing is, I'm not saying I'm broke, but I bought this house, I had some renovation done, I replaced the heating, so money is not exactly abundant right now, and spending like 30 grand on a newer, reliable daily driver, I don't think is something that I'm comfortable doing right now. So replacing the battery in this car might be the better option, but that involves work from my side unless I bring it to a dealer and just have them do everything. But then again, I have a workshop, so I could do it. I even have like a crane if I need to lift the battery out. So I should do this work. I'm kind of more annoyed by the hassle of the whole thing. And yes, now it's again, guy with his own workshop complains about having to do work, but it's a hassle because I cannot just go online, order the parts and then do the work. No, I have to first source the parts, the correct battery modules or a battery. This is going to take a lot of time. And then when I do them, when I get them, I have to hope that they are all good, that if they're used, that the voltages are good, the capacity, the internal resistance and all that. Then I have to do a lot of work to balance them, to get them right, and then I have to put them in the car. So, okay, enough complaining about having to use my own workshop. Because whatever I do, I'm not going to do it right now, because the error message happens like so far once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. Maybe it's also depending on temperature. If it's colder, it happens. If it's warmer, it doesn't happen. The thing is, I need this car right now. It's still winter. This is my only car with winter tires. This is my daily driver, my Beta, my winter car. Therefore, I'm certainly not going to start disassembling it while it's winter and while I need it, because I need to be mobile. So this car needs to be my daily driver until the spring. And in the spring, then I can disassemble the car and I can leave it disassembled for weeks at a time, because then I can drive my Porsche, my Trans Am, not the Cadillac. But so for now, this is like I'm putting it all off. And at the same time, I sort of keep my eyes open. Should I encounter like an interesting deal on a car that I might like to replace the Lexus with? I'm just very, very afraid of replacing this car, because I am sort of starting to spiral already, because I thought I want something reliable and something that gets the job done. But then I also want something with sufficient power, because I don't want something that's slow, because daily driving a slow car, that's really not great. I have even considered buying an electric car, because on the used market, the electric cars, they have really plummeted. They're really cheap. And if I feel lucky, a Chinese car, Chinese EV, they are really cheap, brand spanking new. You get like 50% off deals on brand new cars like MGs, BYDs, and what they're all called. The thing is, I could basically daily drive an electric car. However, the thing is, I also use this car for long distance trips, and with an electric car, that's kind of out of the question. And also, I am spoiled by this car. So I want a car that's comfortable, that has a nice interior, that's cosseting, and not like some cheap Econobox that's going to catch fire in my driveway. So I don't know what to do. So I'm already starting to spiral, and then you think, oh, maybe I get this, oh, maybe I get this, or maybe, and then at the end you are looking up Bentleys and Rolls Royces, and no. I'm already annoyed at this car, not at the car, but at the fact that this car, due to the hybrid battery going bad, has become unreliable. So I cannot buy a Rolls Royce or a Bentley or stuff like that. I need something that's reliable, but then again, I want something that's luxurious, sort of, that's comfortable, that's powerful, and ideally it's not too rich on fuel consumption, but then again, it's so difficult. I mean, I can understand why people just lease new cars and then replace them every 3 years. It costs a bucket of money, but then again, they don't have to worry about reliability and stuff like that, because new cars are all more or less reliable. So, But then again, that's just my personal struggle. This was just a little update to inform you that the hybrid battery is indeed bad, and I am now contemplating future steps. So if you've had similar issues with your car, with your hybrid, if you know of somebody ideally in Switzerland, who deals with these issues, who specialize, who maybe dismantles cars, sells parts. I've already received good tips on the last video that I now have to follow up on, because now I know. Now there's no more hoping. The battery needs to be replaced. But this is too much ranting. Follow me on Instagram at SwissCarGamario if you want to see somewhat more frequent updates. Consider subscribing to this channel if you want to see what's going to happen with this car, or if it's going to get replaced. Also, like this video if you liked this video, yeah. And another thing that I just realized, on YouTube, when you watch a YouTube video and the YouTuber says like, the like button lights up. It's something I've never seen before. So whenever the YouTuber says like, the like button will light up for a second or so. So check if this happens on this video as well. And if it does light up, like this video. If it doesn't light up, like this video as well. But comment down below, did the like button light up for you or didn't it? And also comment down below with tips on what I should do, where I should get a battery from. Ideally, you have concrete experience with that. And no, I'm not going to go to the dealer, because they are too expensive here in Switzerland. But that's the end. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.